It's remarkable to see the frankly, lack of progress in so many of these areas. And it's not because the survivors want that. They do want progress in their communities back. But it's been an unbelievable challenge with so many different political hurdles, red tape, and other things involved. And, you know, where I'm standing in downtown Pacific Palisades later this morning will be about 5 separate community organizations that will come together and voice their opinions, demanding a change that they want very quickly. One of them is a group called They Let Us Burn, and they'll have many different speakers here this morning. But if we look back at 1 year ago to truly understand the fury and the catastrophic scenarios that occurred and where we are today, I think it's very, very important. Have a watch. This is the Palisades Fire and Mandeville Canyon, and this area was charged up because of winds overnight. And we look over here and you see a house right on that ridge completely inflamed. And that is the experience up in these hilly areas of this part of Los Angeles County.
January 2025, Los Angeles County.
But in terms of sheer destruction, it just outweighs anything I've ever seen. The number of homes that have been burned, what will likely be the dollar figure to fix this all is going to be orders of magnitude higher than any other fire we've had in California.
From West Hollywood to the Pacific Palisades and Malibu to Altadena, fires burning out of control. 59 square miles, destroying nearly 17,000 structures and killing 31 people.
We didn't only lose home, we lost community, we lost neighbors, we lost school, we lost sport, we lost grocery shopping. It feels like you start from bottom after January 7. It's been very tough. It's been tough.
Today, neighborhoods are in ruin. Coyotes can be seen in plain sight in the Pacific Palisades.
There's not enough progress in my mind, and I think there's a lot of factors why around that. It's not straightforward. I think it's complicated.
It's estimated just about 500 homes are being rebuilt. Many residents are facing insurance shortfalls or denials, high rebuild costs, and obstacles laced with bureaucratic red tape.
There was no fire engines extinguishing, there was no water, so they were doing nothing. So we saw mayor and governor looking at the fire in downtown Palisades, in front of Chase Bank.
Yeah, they were interviewing downtown with the fire behind them.
And they were doing nothing, absolutely nothing. No fire truck trying to extinguish those fires.
According to officials, roughly 80% of survivors that were forced to flee their neighborhoods and homes are still displaced.
As you can see, it's beautiful, it's green right now, and it will come back, and it will be better, I think, in the long run. But it's going to take some time, for sure.
And back here live in downtown Pacific Palisades, these groups will convene, get together here later this morning and make their voices heard. As you heard in that report, nearly 80% of those that had to leave their communities are still displaced, whether or not they're in, hotels or renting apartments or homes. And that's a remarkable number. And thousands of people are trying to rebuild, but the challenges are just Mount Everest-like at this point. And that's the goal today, to try and get those cut down. On top of that, the LA County Fire Department has admitted mistakes that they made. They claim that they're learning from it all. And then, of course, you have the Los Angeles County government, and that is a full other story that could take, hours to go into. And you know what? The people here today, they have hours, and they're going to talk about what they think is actually going on. Back to you guys.
It's always a sobering reminder, too, of how quickly this can happen. I can't underscore enough, Robert, how ferocious those winds were that day. That's one of the features that I remember, obviously the devastation, but to have winds reach and exceed 100 miles an hour, I'm sure that there are still some fresh memories about just how strong those winds were. Have you, even in your search that you've been going through this past month and looking at, the past couple of days, the rain has been significant for the LA basin. Evidence of those debris flows hampering any sort of recovery effort?
Yes, very much so. I'm glad you brought that up, because everyone that I talk to explains that, if they have any inkling of reconstruction of a home or a business, a lot of that has slowed because of the weather in the past couple months. I mean, historic. We haven't seen rain like this really since 2011. And historically, I believe it's the fourth wettest period in Los Angeles County since the 1870s. The other issue with that is, when you look up at these mountains here, they're completely green. They're lush. A year ago, obviously, it was dry as a bone, and that also caused many of the issues here. The worry is that later, as months progress and it gets warmer again in the summertime and in the autumn, and those Santa Ana winds kick up again at some point later this year, that indeed all of that greenery will then dry up and become yet another major fire hazard. There's just so much going on here, but the main thing here today on the one-year anniversary is for the survivors' voices to be heard, because they need to get their life back, and they can't do it because of the obstacles that are in front of them. Politically, they are just massive. So I'm looking forward to listening to what everyone has to say later today.
Yeah, it's a work that needs to be done, and we'll be eager to hear what that meeting has to offer.
Yeah, hopefully today really marks the turning point for folks in Palisades and in Eaton, and they can finally get the necessary work done. Fox Weather Correspondent Robert Ray, thank you.
Yes.